Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with Confessions of an Ebayaholic. And have you ever skipped picking up an action figure only to much later pay much more for it? Well, for me, here's a great example of just that with Marvel Select's Wolverine from 2013's The Wolverine movie. Packaging side art features artwork from the movie poster. On the back, the blurb outlines the movie. Pause now to read that at your own leisure. Then they name check Hugh Jackman himself, so just maybe that's a sign they're really quite proud of the job they've done with the likeness. At the top of the year when I uploaded my Wolverine action figure evolution series, a number of people asked me where were the Marvel Selects. Well, at that time I made those videos, I never had this one and felt without it I couldn't really make the point I wanted to make about the way Marvel Selects have evolved over the years. But now I have this, maybe sometime I'll do an additional chapter featuring Marvel Select Wolverines. But in the meantime, let's just gawk at this one. Out of packaging, I'm really quite impressed. Impressed to the tune of nearly triple what he originally retailed for though? You know, I just might be. This is designed and sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, and the sculpt is great and further complemented by the paint apps, with the deco rendering the trousers with a worn, lived-in feeling, and the flesh tones are about as naturalistic as you're gonna get on a plastic action figure. And while I said I paid nearly triple the original price, I justified that as in a way I am getting a trio of action figures in the form of interchangeable heads and hands, each head expressing a different emotion from nonplus to full-on berserker rage, and the stop in between the two. And it's nice to see in sculpting an actor's likeness they don't have that dead-eyed lifelessness we often see. Yes, Star Wars Black Series, I'm referring to you. For the best likeness to Hugh Jackman himself, of these I'd go with the one in the middle there. Even if you think they're not a spitting image of the man, then they certainly are the best we've got to date. Don't believe me? Go look at part 2 of my Wolverine action figure evolution. Kill me! Then from the retracted claw hands he comes out of the package with, to bone claws on the left and adamantium on the right, and beyond the difference in claws they've switched them up further with the adamantium ones being 2 clenched fists, whereas the bone claw ones are a clenched fist and a more open gestural hand. But let's go back to his hands with the claws retracted because those are designed to hold his sword. It's rendered pretty niftily with the blade painted with a metallic finish. Then the handle is somewhat ornamental. It can be held in either hand, and alas his elbows are single jointed, which does inhibit more elaborate swordplay poses. But then Diamond Select's licensing agreement with Marvel limits their figures to 16 points of articulation, with this figure already at that limit. So they're doing as much as they possibly can, and in terms of posing I would say they've sacrificed some of the anatomy, as I think maybe the pec should probably be broader, but I think they've slightly narrowed them to allow his arms to angle in towards the center of his chest, and nicely that enables him to hold his sword with both hands. To me it shows a nice level of commitment to offering a maximum of display possibilities. In terms of articulation, for me it's astonishing when I think back to this being a line that when started was essentially statues with a token point of articulation or 2. Here we get 16, so let's go over them. At the head he rotates and is able to look up slightly but not really down. At the shoulder the arms rotate and they move up this much. Upper arm rotation, then those single jointed elbows we talked about earlier. Then all the hands rotate at the wrist and are all also hinge, moving the hands down and up. No waist rotation, but in lieu of that he has a rotating diaphragm joint which does also move this far forward and then this far back. Then at the hips the legs move out to the side this much, they move forward a real decent amount, then move this far back. Upper leg rotation, then double jointed knees, rotation at the top of the boot there, then at the ankles it's hinge, moving the feet backwards and forwards, plus it has that ankle rocker pivot that I love. And taking advantage of that ankle pivot, this is him standing at his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. Marvel Select is a 7-inch scale line and Wolverine stands around 7 inches tall, dwarfed here by the Marvel Select Avengers Age of Ultron movie Hulk, an appropriate square off what with Wolverine making his debut in the Incredible Hulk comic. Then sandwiched in the middle there is the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Captain America, and with him in there is when the 7-inch scale of Marvel Select really hits. Primarily as a 6-inch scale collector, I usually pick up the Marvel Select heavy duty big guys, your Juggernauts, your Rhinos, those that you can fudge into a 6-inch scale display. But with this Wolverine, he is impressive enough just to be a standalone piece. I'm not sure why I originally slept on it. I think it's because some selects just seem to be around forever, but alas, he was not one of those. With the price I paid, I think it's fair, as I've watched a number of listings over the past 6 months, and with Diamond confirming they won't be making any more figures based on Fox's Marvel movies, I don't see the price tag of these being diluted anytime soon. It's sad really, with Hugh Jackman confirming one last time as Wolverine, that we might already be looking at his last Wolverine action figure. Anyway, click the video on the right if you missed the previous episode in which I picked up the SDCC exclusive box set Brother Voodoo, and now some correspondence on that video. Yes, I am. I borrowed the set from my good friend and Articulation Assembled podcast co-host Craig, who coughed up for the entire set. He's lending me them so I can give them the once over in a review. Thanks, I love the voodoo that you do too. Anyway, as ever, I sure hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.